Party at Logan's house.
Good evening, everyone.
How's it going?
How you doing, Alex?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Cosimo. How are you?
Oh,
Hey, fine, thanks. I'm sorry, I'm with the phone, so I wasn't sure if you could hear me.
You sound clear.
Thank you.
how you guys doing?
Hey, JM, how are you?
Good, good. Exciting news with the iMasons and OCP. Yay.
Yeah, should be good.
So happy we moved to Zoom.
Yes.
God. I had a lot of Teams meetings today. Not so good.
Yeah, we rock Teams all day, every day. But Zoom is a nice alternative. I hope nobody here works for Citrix. Hmm. I don't know where Shruti and Mohan are. Let me just quickly check on them. Also, Julius is first on our agenda today, and I don't see him either, so give me a second.
Yeah, Julius should be here with see, Bharat is here. We spoke about that yesterday, right?
Hey, Cosimo. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice conference room, Cosimo.
Right? On the go.
Hello, folks.
Hi, Shruti. Shruti, do you want to run the agenda this evening?
Sure, we can do that. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to change headphones.
Sure.
Yes. I can maybe use the email invite only as a visual aid so that
Yeah.
it'll be easy to follow.
And everyone else can do the same. The invite that Shruti sent out has our agenda for this evening. Or morning, as the case may be.
Yeah, wherever you're located. Okay, so we are The first thing we are going to run through, I think, if Julius is already on call, we'll run through what do we need, what is basically needed in terms of feedback for direct air capture work. This had come up, I think, a few meetings back, maybe a few months back. The DAC work had come up, but we need to do a little pre-work before this can go maybe into a work stream kind of thing. So today, Julius will run us through what is his direction on the items needed before this becomes a full-fledged work within our OCP sustainability. So he might be pointing to a couple of things that he needs help with, needs feedback with, so please help him out. Okay, right after that, we will spend 5 minutes each for 2 of the new work streams that are starting. One is the carbon accounting in circularity. So JM and Ari, who are leading that, one of them will talk about this one. And then the carbon disclosure or label work stream that is kicking off. I think maybe some of you folks also saw an email go out about that from Rob. Alex will run us through what is the update on this, when it is kicking off, and a few more things. The next little bit, we are actually going to run through a tabular roadmap of what outputs we are expecting in 2024. And this is not, I said run through, but I don't actually mean run through. I mean get feedback on from our various leads over here. So we're sort of trying to put together the roadmap. So here, this will be an open discussion so that the co-leads and others can give feedback on what we are outputting in 24. We have a last open question, and which is essentially related to how we want to refine the criteria for what is compliant with sustainability tenet, and what OCP sustainability should stand behind. I think if Sammy, DJ, etc. are on call, by then they also have specific suggestions on this side. So hopefully we are going to get to this last item. Alex, I'm not able to see all the members. Is Julius already on call?
Yes, I am. Hopefully
Julius
you can
and
hear me.
Cosimo are here, yeah.
Yeah,
Hi,
awesome.
Julius.
I'll ask you to take us away on the direct air capture work, please. Let me, please stop.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak to you today. As you know, sustainability is an important topic, especially for this project group. When it comes to sustainability, Meta's strategy is not so different from what many of you are following, namely that we started with trying to understand our emissions. We try to reduce as much as possible, which there are a lot of activities in this group and in other projects in OCP. And finally, what is remaining, and unfortunately, this is likely to be needed, we will have to be getting into removal solutions. Let's look at where we are today in the world. We need billions of tons of removals per year. However, in 2022, there were only about 600,000 tons of removal credits purchased, and only about 36,000 tons delivered in 2022. So we're orders of magnitude off from where we are today. Technology companies such as Meta are in the megatons per year requirements for removals, and we need to do something about it. There are many solutions that are available in the world today. There are nature-based solutions, which are probably the most known in the world. This includes soil carbon sequestration, biochar, bio-oil, afforestation, and so on. The ones that we're most interested in this context are engineered solutions, technology-based solutions. The reason is for that is because they are the most reliable, durable, easy to measure, and we think they're the most scalable. One of them is called direct air capture, or DAC as an acronym. They're in the news today. They are widely reported. There is a lot of investment in this technology. This is considered to be durable and scalable. However, they're very expensive. 1 ton of CO2 credit costs more than $700 today. And we have the potential to do something about this high price. Before we talk about the idea, let's talk about why DAC is so expensive. There are a number of techno-economic analyses. There's one that I'm linking here, which I've shared with you before. The top 3 cost factors are airflow, simply because the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is very dilute. So therefore, you need to move a lot of air through the device to capture enough of the CO2 that is in the air. Second one is energy, mostly in the form of heat, to be able to actuate the chemical process needed to separate the CO2 from other gases into purified form. And then lastly, the sorbent itself is also quite expensive. In a data center, we have an abundance of 2 things. One is heat from IT servers. We spend a lot of engineering time and operational resources and money to cool our data centers. And secondly, we need to reject the heat, and therefore we need a lot of airflow. All of you know, these are 2 really big factors that we implement with great difficulty in data centers, and they happen to also be 2 of the main factors that make DAC so expensive. So what if we could leverage heat and airflow that we already have in data centers to make DAC processes more economical? Can we do this? This requires some degree of thinking. Most of the DAC that are built today are standalone DAC. Therefore, when they are designed for efficiency. In our case, I believe we need to change the way that we think about DAC. We need to design now for data center integration. I hope you find this idea compelling. However, the path is not risk-free, let's say. There are a number of things that we need to be able to address. In my mind, the challenges are in 3 categories. The first is the technology itself. If you've read about DAC, you know that DAC today tend to require very high temperatures, much higher than what is available in a data center. And then the second one is, even if you could overcome the temperature challenge, there are still other energy requirements that are needed to implement the DAC process. The second one is obviously about integration, because a data center, even if we could integrate DAC into a data center, we have to make sure that it fits and it does not incur risk into data center operations. And then lastly, the cost has to make sense, because if we're going to take the risk and resources to develop the technology and implement it in our data center, then the cost has to make sense against other potential solutions. With that, though, I would like to ask this group, if you think that OCP could be a good place for it. Sustainability is a big topic. AI is here. That means more compute. Data center, we're developing technologies that are being used in the world today. And I believe there's an opportunity here to leverage open standards so that we can all benefit from this solution. What can we do? I suggest that in 2024, let's start properly. Let's do a concept exploration. There are a number of DAC technologies that are out there. If you work on this, I would love to hear from you. If you are experts in some aspects of integration and defining requirements, we would also love to hear from you. As an output, I believe that a white paper is feasible in a presentation. I think this topic is quite interesting, and I would love to get your feedback on whether we can do this together. With that, I will give it back to Shruti and Alex. Thank you.
Hey, Julius, this is Cosimo. Do we want to maybe mention very briefly the companies that are already kind of interested in these activities?
I think let's say that comprehensively, then there are many companies that are interested. But I would like to know is if some of you are interested in being the first movers here. I think the idea of putting DAC into a data center has been discussed many times. But I would like to put something on paper. For example, can we work together to address the risks? Can we hitch this into the cooling technologies roadmap? Because it is about temperatures. Naturally, because standalone DAC solutions today are very high in temperatures, then the higher the temperatures, the better. But I would like to know where things lie within OCP's membership. Do you think that higher temperatures are feasible or not? And then if we can win together, then how does that look like? For example, do we standardize the interfaces, the requirements? And I see Shruti has her hand up, so go ahead, Shruti.
Yeah, so Julius, I wanted to sort of summarize one or two things that I get out of this, and please correct me. So the first thing is we know that there are still unknowns about whether this can be applied to data sets, right? So there is a, I call it a research component to it. So that is why we said that we are one step away from standardizing right now. We are still figuring out whether it can be applicable to data sets, right? Is that?
That's right.
Okay. So because of that, we had sort of spoken that maybe the first step is what you have listed over here would be if you can, put together a white paper with help from folks over here. But can you a little bit elaborate what is, when you say concept exploration, what are you thinking will be the content or what will be there in this white paper?
Yeah, to start with, if you've read about DAC, there are two main flavors. You can either use solid sorbents or you can use liquid sorbents. Most of the development that are out there today are based on solid sorbents, for example, using amine crystals and so on. The benefit there is that you can build them smaller, I believe. The downside is that you need to heat it in place or you need to move it. And moving things in a data center can be quite complicated. There are liquid DAC solutions, however, they use very high temperatures. And then there are fewer players in that space, for example. So I think it will be interesting to look at, hey, what's been published today? Because there are a lot of publications out there today. Some people claim that some of the solutions that are out there can be scaled down to lower temperatures at the cost of efficiency. How much inefficiency can we tolerate to still make sense in a data center? Form factors and so on. I think those are what I think can comprise the concept exploration here. Of course, I'm open to other inputs from the community if there are any. I see Bharatram has a...
Hi, Shruti and team. Hey, yeah, so I would like to, add a couple more points to Julius. Microsoft have been exploring standalone direct air capture systems, and Microsoft have been buying credits externally. Having said that, we have also been, looking out to explore, direct air capture in data centers. So having said that, to answer your question, like what goes into the concept exploration, like Julius mentioned, we would talk about what are all the different opportunities, like what are all the ways that we could integrate direct air capture technology in a data center. And if it's a data center, is that going to be an air-cooled data center? Is that going to be at the inlet, or is that going to be at the exhaust? Or is it going to be part of a liquid-cooled data center with a dry cooler? Where can we integrate this direct air capture technology module so that we could capture carbon dioxide that is going through the data centers, for example? So this is just one aspect. And then we would also, in that white paper, we would try to address not just the capture part. After we capture several tons of carbon dioxide, how are we going to store it? Like, how are we going to transport it? Are we going to use it on site? Are we going to put them under the ground? How are we going to permanently dispose them of? So we're going to list out all these different opportunities and how we could have like geographic independence for a data center to share its heat and airflow with that of another application. So we would list down all these different opportunities at the same time, the challenges and risks to integrate DAC with that of a data center. And also we would address the where exactly the market is. For example, like Julius mentioned, we are at about $700 to $1,000 per ton. And how best can we do to bring that dollar per ton to in the order of 100?
How'd it go with that?
100 or 150, because that's where it would start to make sense, so that at a data center level. So those are some of the aspects that we would cover in the white paper, I imagine. And again,
yeah, excellent. Thank you, Bharat. I'm really glad you're joining today.
Yeah, thanks, Julius, and we'll be welcome for more feedbacks from the community here.
Okay, great. So shall I sort of say that the white paper will be able to put some, I should not call it proposals because I know they are not formed proposals for integrating DAC in data centers, but some ideas for putting DACs in data centers.
Yep.
And Shruti, let me add something. So if sustainability doesn't think that this activity belongs under sustainability, cooling environments, it's ready to move on with this immediately. So it's just an OCP decision whether we place this, but we have been talking about this now for a couple of months. We need to start moving. So whether it's under sustainability or cooling environments, but we need to start putting the codes together and working on this.
Yeah, I think that was with Julius, and that's how this white paper thing sort of came up.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did want to ask Cosimo, because he's familiar, do you think that the DCF sustainability work stream would also be a possible home for this work?
I mean, DJ is here. Probably he's, but I would say there's a lot of possible homes for these activities. Conceptually, this is inherently a sustainability activity. So, on my opinion, even if I belong to cooling environments, on my opinion, this is the poster child of sustainability. But if people have different opinions, as I said, we had a leaders meeting, a cooling environment leaders meeting today, and we are ready to move on with this immediately if there's some hesitation from the sustainability leadership.
So, hi everyone, this is DJ, and thanks Cosimo for sharing the background. And Julius, thanks for re-presenting the material which you already presented in July, which I hope people are already aware of. So the idea here is, at this stage, as many voices have mentioned, we are in an exploration stage. We are not in a solution stage. So we should move with that thought process that this is a great idea to be explored, and the exploration can certainly take place within sustainability project. Cosimo, I don't think anybody is thinking otherwise, because you cannot presuppose that it should belong to one work stream versus other when exploration itself is not complete. And I think Bijan made a comment in the chat, which should be taken into consideration as well. We might have multiple paths for direct air capture. So this problem which we are trying to solve is direct air capture. That problem very much squarely falls under sustainability, because that problem is to solve for sustainability. The how part is where we don't know and could come from many different angles. So my suggestion is, we have already gone through all of this. We are not covering any new ground here. We should just move very quickly forward to get this white paper effort launched. Make sure we scope it properly. We include comments such as the one from Bijan. We figure out what are other pathways which could possibly be included, and start timeline on that white paper, all under sustainability project. So that's how I would proceed, but I will also love to hear if somebody has other thoughts.
I personally agree. This is Cosimo. I personally agree with you, DJ.
So just moving ahead with that. So I think after the last discussion is where this, doing the white paper had come up, like DJ mentioned. So should I then sort of say that Julius and folks, as you folks are running through the white paper, as you're developing the white paper, can we sort of have a 10 minutes every OCP sustainability meet that we'll devote to feedback on that white paper? And plus, if you need like a form feedback right after the meeting, something like that. So maybe in the next 2 or 3, or maybe 3 or 4, how many ever it takes, we'll actually run through whatever are the DEC plus DC ideas that you're putting through in the white paper, and have all of our folks give feedback on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I just want to let me address a couple of really good comments that I see in the chat here. The first one is that just like there are many different flavors of data centers, and that's natural because what it needs to contain and operate change. as we have seen, CPUs, GPUs, different temperature, different loads, different ambient conditions, different environmental consideration. I mean, I think we need more than no one deck flavor is going to be the best for everything. So that's why I think this concept exploration would be really useful. Like Bharat said really well earlier, where you put it is not very obvious yet. We know we want to do airflow integration, but you want to put it in, before the data center or after the data center. How much delta P do you want to tolerate? How much capture do you want to be able to optimize? How do you power these things? These are all really good questions. Transportation and sequestration. There's a number of projects. I believe this is a bit out of scope for this. We should be aware of it. I believe that if we can prove the concept here, then the next step should naturally include selecting sites that are favorable, including proximity to sequestration and transportation sites and infrastructure. And then there's some comments about like water-based deck and so on. That's great. It's a very good example of why we need a diversity of solutions for different cases. And then the last one is about public funding opportunities. I think that's possible further on, but I would like to focus on the technology feasibility first, because I think that's the strength of this group here. And I think we need to address that first before we seek partnerships outside of the community. That's my feeling. So thank you for the comments. Yeah, data centers really move like gigatons of air per year. If you look at, the 3 terawatt-hour per year projection for 2030, I mean, that corresponds to 6 billion tons of CO2 per year. And then the heat that we produce is a massive amount of heat. As you know, this is a big problem that we're trying to solve. Why not use that as a resource in this case?
Okay, so then I think we are sort of going to let you folks move ahead on the concepts that you are putting down in the white paper, and I'll have 10 minutes for you folks in every OCP meeting so that everybody can look at what are the proposals, ideas going in, and give feedback online or offline as preferred.
Ideally, we need a Zoom link as well for the calls. If we can use this one, it's fine, but we need to define what kind of Zoom link we can use.
You mean you don't want it to be as a part of the agenda of the main OCP sustainability meeting?
I mean, we need the group needs to meet to put together the white paper. It cannot only be done in 10 minutes every month, right?
Oh, yeah, putting together white paper is not the 10 minutes. That's the feedback. If you need help with sort of having the folks who are authoring the white paper come together, I can help you with the logistic with that. That's fine.
Excellent. Thank you, Cosimo and Trudy.
Yeah. That should be a small thing. Yeah.
Or reach out to Rob Coyle, who can help facilitate that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you so much, Julius, Bharat, Cosmo, team. I think the next thing is, Alex, do you want to talk about the carbon disclosure work stream for a few minutes and also inform folks of the recent announcement?
Sure, yeah. So this can be relatively quick since we've talked about it in past meetings, but just to give a refresher, we at OCP have been engaged in the broad topic of how data center vendors, how vendors to our industry measure and report on the embodied carbon of the equipment and materials that they sell into the industry, and the operational carbon, and the need for standardization around those. So different methods leading to potentially different outcomes for theoretically the same piece of equipment makes it difficult to use this information on the side of the data center operator for procurement decisions, design decisions, and to drive down scope 3 over time, to drive down operational emissions over time. And so the idea has been discussed for a while in OCP of a carbon label that would kind of be the outcome of some standardized guidelines or expectations around how that measurement and reporting was done. And at the same time, over at iMasons, they established the iMasons Climate Accord, and really the fundamental mission of the Climate Accord was along the same lines of what I've just been describing, figuring out how to set those guidelines, a clear set of expectations. They try to avoid the word standards, but working on similar things. There's more of a focus at iMasons on MEP equipment and materials. And I think that they part of their motivation in coming to OCP for partnership is that OCP has more expertise in IT and in the white space. So rather than working on potentially redundant efforts in 2024, the two organizations have come together to make sure that all efforts are complementary and additive. The delineation that I just described can be kind of one way in which the two work together, where OCP is bringing more IT expertise and iMasons is focusing on MEP, but also OCP brings more experience in, of course, developing standards and developing work product, frankly. So we are excited to get underway with this. The first focus is on the embodied carbon in Scope 3, but we don't want to lose sight of the operational emissions either. So we need to figure out what will those guidelines look like, what will the label look like in the end, and we are kicking the work stream off in 7 days on January 17th. So hopefully most of you received an email from Rob Coyle with information about that meeting. If you are interested in participating and didn't receive the invitation to the kickoff, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to get you involved. If you have any questions about it between now and then, happy to discuss with you. Thank you, Shruti, for posting those details.
Yeah, Alex, I may reach out. I'm very curious about this. I reached out to our consultant who does our LCAs on embodied carbon and did not, got cold shoulder, and I kind of see why, because it's their business. And I'm also presenting at Disposition 24, the ASCDI conference, and I wonder if anyone else is as well. And that's on the 16th and 17th.
Okay.
But I may reach out.
Yeah, I would love to, Danny. I mean, on your first point, we really value any inputs we can get from those who are LCA professionals for their day jobs. From my company, Schneider Electric, we have our own perspective in terms of how we do this, but we're trying to gather as many perspectives as we can to make sure that we are assembling the right set of best practices and also determining kind of how sensitive the outcomes of an LCA is to variability in how the LCA is conducted. So appreciate your perspective. Definitely reach out to me and look forward to working with you on it.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I do have a white paper on this, but I can't share because it's under NDA.
Okay.
Which is understandable. Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Yeah, and I'll also paste along with Alex. This particular initiative has totally 4 co-leads. I know some of them are online. Alex, of course, Andrea is online. Ryan from Google is also online. Lalit from Microsoft is not here, I think, right now. Yeah, but he's also one of the co-leads here. So
yeah, thank you, Shruti. Andrea, Lalit, I'm sorry, is it Ryan who's on with us?
Yeah, I think Lalit is not here right now.
Okay, yeah, Andrea, Ryan, anything to add to how I kind of framed it up?
No, but I'll share our case studies that we've created just if people want to take a look at that before.
So those are the case studies that Andrea and company have done at the iMasons equipment working group within the iMasons Climate Accord.
And just I'll share both of them. We've done 2 different investigations into ways of measuring the embodied carbon. Life cycle assessment has come out as the one that we predict is the preferred method, but we also investigated the TM65 material disclosure methodology as well. So I'll share both of those.
Thank you.
Hey, Alex, this is DJ. Quick question. A couple of years back, I remember iMason had organized some kind of an event or a conference in Santa Clara. Are there any events iMason is organizing this year which you are aware of?
So iMasons holds series of regional chapter meetings kind of on a rolling basis. And I'm going right now to the website to see if there's one in Northern California for this year. But nothing along the lines of the OCP Summit where, I mean,
no, that's fine. Yeah,
scale,
I'm not,
but
yeah, I attended the one, so I know how it is. I'm not looking from the size perspective. Here is my ask to you. Whenever that regional meetup happens in North America, let's get a contingent of OCP sustainability team to go and give a talk on what is it that OCP is working on sustainability side, and if there are any asks we can kind of use that. Because one of the comments you made was we want to ensure that there is no overlapping activity, they are complementary. So this would be perfect opportunity for teams to meet each other, organizations to become aware of each other. And that was my thought process, that if there are iMason activities, OCP should go there. OCP activities are well known to everyone. iMason is welcome to come and talk about their own stuff at OCP events, but we need to do the other way around. In fact, this year, one of the things we should do in sustainability is reach out, take OCP ideas to other organizations, and iMason could be one of them, which we can start with if there are such events and such opportunities.
That's great ideas, DJ. So just on a small scale, I'm going to be arranging a meeting for myself and Rob to meet with Miranda, who's the director of the iMasons Climate Accord, at PTC, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. And then the next iMasons chapter meeting is in New York in March. So I could certainly plan on going to that March meeting, and I will, I guess, now is a good time to put it to all of you. If March 18th in New York City seems feasible to you, certainly, it's available on the iMasons website, but I'm also happy to kind of help coordinate if you're interested in participating then. But good idea.
Yeah. And what I would suggest, Shruti, we should do is let's create messaging, a very strategic messaging for March 18th meeting in New York on behalf of OCP Sustainability for iMasons audience. So this is a good, we have time and we can plan it. We can make sure that we have the right amount of time available in that event. And it doesn't matter who the message bearer is. The idea is we use these events to forge a unique relationship between the two organizations. So this is good timing.
Okay.
Yep, great ideas. I will start to talk to iMasons now and letting them know that we want to have an opportunity at the March New York meeting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.
Yep. We also wanted to give a few minutes to the other new work stream that is about to start. So JM and Ari are both the co-leads for the carbon accounting and circularity. So I'll let you folks talk for a few minutes and give it a kickoff.
Yeah, Ari, I can throw some stuff up.
Yeah, why don't you do it?
You guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. If you guys remember, we have the sustainability white paper up on the contributions that we released last year, and we have a whole circularity section as one of the core sections, and we kind of define some of the use cases of circularity. And so in that, this is a presentation I gave on the same topic. We kind of go in the order in the white paper of describing that use extension and reuse are the highest priority for kind of value recovery and for the impact. And one of the things we're trying to do is answer the question of like, the e-waste impact is pretty obvious, just like the weight and but there's a bunch of different methodologies you can use for actually describing the impact of circularity. And so what we're gonna do is like, so there's the strategies for circularity, which are these things here. We have the whole design for circularity guide that goes into product use, how you can specifically design things like platform resilience and things around making firmware and making the devices last longer and have higher reliability, extending the use period. And then there's lots of stuff about reuse. But what we wanted to do is kind of tie that back to, what is the impact? So I'm going to present, this is a presentation that Micron gave at Flash Memory Summit in our circularity track, but kind of describes kind of one of the ideas that we have for this, which is, so if you're using an SSD, a life cycle assessment on a 5-year SSD would look something like this. If you just measure the bar graph here is just like the percentage of the LCA of the tons of CO or kilograms of CO2e. And the idea is that if you take a device that's been running for 5 years and run it to like 8.5 years, for instance, that you could maybe see a reduction of impact per year per terabyte by up to 40%. And this is one way where it just, instead of like, so the methodology today is basically when a data center buys a device, they take the brunt of the embodied carbon up front on their scope 3. And the idea is that if you want to be able to find a way to incentivize circularity, in which if the first user does a transfer of ownership after 5 years, how can you amortize that carbon over a longer period of time? At the OCP Global Summit, Intel gave a keynote, and Zane talked a little bit about this platform level carbon and modularity and circularity, and how, for instance, it could be reduce embodied carbon by up to 30%. And so, down here it says, kind of Intel analysis used PAIA, platform attribute to impact algorithm. And so one of the things we wanted to explore in the work stream is all the different methods you could use for accounting, how we're going to do it. We can flash up kind of some ideas. But the other method is if you wanted to have a reuse for a second use period, then if you're buying a recertified or remanufactured product, then there's another way to do this attribution where the second user actually doesn't take any of the embodied carbon up front, and they just take the use phase and whatever the assembly and test that it takes to recertify or remanufacture the device. So we wanted to get this work group together, and let me see if I can find a reminder too. There in the data standardization white paper we released in 2022, we did have a section on this of basically describing the comparative approach and the consequential approach to life cycle assessments for something like circularity, where comparative meaning like if you're going to use a device for or use a recertified drive versus a new drive, what would be the carbon difference in the life cycle assessment? Kind of similar to the graphs I just showed, or the consequential approach, which is, okay, if you implement circularity, you extend the use period from 5 years to another period that's higher, what would be the impact? So we don't know all the answers, but we think we have this problem statement that there's not really a standardized way to report the carbon emissions and impact for circular business models. We want to incentivize the reuse instead of destruction of devices, storage devices being the brunt of the ones that get destroyed at first use because of data security concerns, which was kind of the whole idea and topic of the data standardization white paper, of course. And so one of the ideas was, can you amortize the embodied carbon and over the entire use period? And then, so if one user uses it uses it for a longer period, how do they show that that's beneficial? Well, you're not going to get a reduction in scope 3, for instance, if you use your device in your own data center, but you're going to avoid buying new devices. So at least you can quantify that there is some impact of doing that. And this would be useful for companies' internal analysis for how they would decide to, employ circular business models and either stop shredding drives and go to a sanitization or reuse method within even within their own organizations. We kind of decided that this life cycle assessments that this is something that we want to be third-party verified, and how do we establish an ecosystem similar to a life cycle assessment, where of course I talked to the storage memory vendors about this extensively. Of course, they have their own fab data, and they know they report scope 1 and scope 2 mostly. So we do know kind of the overall impact for some of these devices, especially like the memory and storage manufacturers, kind of what the overall impact would be. And so we want to look at these different use cases, which is one is reuse within an organization, one is reuse where there's a transfer of ownership, and how do you amortize the embodied carbon over the first use and the second use, or give the second use these low embodied carbon to incentivize the use of recertified drives or other components. And then for reuse, there's component or subassembly reuse. For instance, in a hard drive, you can take apart the hard drive, take out the magnet assembly, and then shred the platters. And that's something that some of these larger hyperscalers are starting to do instead of shredding the entire drive, to at least save some of the subcomponents and subassemblies. And how do you show that there was an impact of doing that? And then recycling other stuff, like how does that play in? And then of course this is going to tie into it. What Alex said is like, we need a better life cycle assessment and just overall embodied carbon understanding of all the ICT components, memory, storage, CPUs, GPUs, NICs, everything. And until we obviously need that as a prerequisite to this, but this is more of exploring like, how do we do those calculations. So, Ari, I don't know if you wanted to touch on it.
I just have a couple of points. One is we need more LCAs, especially from semiconductor manufacturing. It's right now we can't find enough data. And the second point I'll make is, recycling. We have that study that shows that, reuse is 275 I think this is for hard drive, but reuse is 275 times, more carbon saving efficient than recycling. But there can be efficiencies added to recycling. So it's not a bad thing. So I kind of want to tone down that message just a little bit. But certainly recycling with the security concerns, any shred of platter leaving a data center, it's a big step forward if you can even agree to recycle your drives in the most efficient way. So I love this. I think the third point I'll make is that we at Seagate, we're working on a way to do carbon credits for hard drives, and I think that concept can be expanded to all components. And I've talked to folks involved with that, and once we have something, it'll probably be later this year. We'll certainly share that with the group. Back to you, Michael.
So we have not decided on a time slot for work stream. So I'll work with Shruti to send out kind of a Google Forms or something we can find. First, if there are folks that are interested, we'll send out my contact information and RA, so we can at least just reach out, so we can at least figure out who wants to be in the work group, and then how often we need to meet. But then we wanted to have some goals of like getting a white paper out, kind of describing, at least for the LCAs that are out, and some of the studies that have been done, at least getting those documented, and then maybe by the end of the year, kind of propose the methodology for, maybe there's multiple ways that folks can report this. Maybe there's one way to OCP prefers and whatnot. So, Mohan.
Yeah, thank you, John. This is, first of all, I want to applaud the effort that you're taking on here. This is awesome to see. But I had a quick question for you to follow up. Right, one thing that everybody struggles with in the industry is downstream scope 3. Right, so if you're a manufacturer, you have a good handle on scope 1, scope 2, and even upstream scope 3. But downstream scope 3 is where I think, because you're focusing on circularity and so on. But step 1 is to figure out, how do you go about even measuring that? You have any thoughts on what you want to do in this work stream on that front?
Yeah.
Downstream as far as if you are a device manufacturer, or
yeah, for anyone, I mean, any silicon, any device, what are you looking at? Once it leaves your hands, you have no idea of the impact that it has in general. I mean, and then it don't, right? So it's a recurring thing until it goes to
I forgot to mention that there is another method of circularity, which is you return the material to the manufacturer.
Exactly.
Manufacture recertified product, or manufacture remanufacture. And in that method, there are, we'll just say there are hyperscalers and cloud vendors that want to figure out a way to potentially alleviate some of the embodied carbon by doing the right thing and actually returning the device, in a useful state, or that can be recertified or remanufactured, versus, returning it in a pile of dust.
Exactly. Going to a landfill. Exactly. That's so how do you characterize it? Yeah.
How do we incentivize?
It's cradle to grave is the word we use.
Cradle to grave.
And so that's certainly, I forgot. So manufacturer programs are maybe some of the best, programs in circularity, because the original manufacturer generally knows what to do with the the equipment and the materials. So
because we know exactly how many chemicals are in there and what we can do with them. Yeah.
So that would be all great stuff to put in the white paper we put out.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, JM, Ari. And like they mentioned, there will be a Google form or a similar thing that will be sent out after they sort of pick possible timings and talk a little bit about the cadence. We did want to quickly use the next little bit of time, if we have most of the co-leads here and other folks also giving feedback. For
So Shruti, can I go first? Because I see so much overlap between what the carbon modeling work group is doing and so many of these other work groups. So, you know, perhaps I could share that and we could talk about, should we combine things or stay where we are, what have you.
Okay,
So
if I can just clarify, the roadmap question though is not right now going into the content, but essentially figuring out like which work stream is having what output as targets within 2024.
Right, I have a slide showing that, what my thoughts are for carbon modeling.
Deb, isn't it like almost 9 p.m. your time? It makes, I mean, if everybody
else
okay. Maybe we should be kind and let her go first.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Just to be mindful, we hope to get through all the work streams. So I hope we're not giving too much right now for work stream.
All right, so carbon modeling. So like I said, you know, we might want to talk about combining this with some of the other work streams we've been talking about. So we're responsible for two different aspects, both of which would eventually be rolled into, say, an LCA. But the first one is what we're calling embodied carbon, and the second one is what we're calling operational, both energy and carbon. So we have completed the Rev 1 white paper for embodied carbon. Based on reviews and trying to get companies to disclose, the conclusion was that number one, we were asking for too much information, and number two, they're just extremely reluctant to disclose anything. We were hoping to also build upon some work of other bodies that have not yet closed or made any information available. So what we're thinking about is doing a simpler methodology and adding grading. The grading sounds very similar perhaps to what the iMasons work stream is looking at. We had talked about a software implementation, but we have not had any resources to do that. So what we're looking at now is a spreadsheet option that would just be, it would be completely transparent on what information was used to do the best job of doing the embodied carbon. So looking to have the first pass of that covering DRAM and SSDs in Q2, and something trying to cover logic in Q3. And then for the operational side, we already have the first draft of a PowerPoint, kind of a backgrounder, maybe looking to do a white paper by Q3, and looking to possibly find a way to publish some utilization/power curves that would be helpful to folks trying to understand operational energy in the data center. So that's where we are and what we're looking to accomplish.
So, sorry, actually I stopped sharing thinking that you meant you want to share.
I thought I was sharing. Oh my goodness. I thought I was sharing. Oh, it says cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing. So I thought I was sharing. My bad. Okay. So here it is, what I just said verbally.
Deb, we still don't see it. Deb, still don't see anything.
You don't see anything?
I think I got most of it though.
Now you're showing Shruti's face.
Theater of the mind.
There we go. Now we see. Thank you.
So
Deb,
this is what I just said verbally. And I can send this to Shruti.
Are we saying the white paper publishing is the Rev 2? So within Q1 of 24?
That's what I'm hoping, to just do a simpler methodology and to add a grading component to it. again, if we wanted to, you know, move the grading to the iMasons group and work on it there. You know, I would be open to that rather than a duplication of effort. Like, you know, yeah.
Good.
And likewise, you know, it seemed like what you know, the LCA and the circularity discussion we just had is very interested in embodied carbon as well. So working, you know, either folding some of this work over there or working somehow in conjunction on the, you know, on doing this spreadsheet. I would be, you know, very open on that. I think the more people we had working together on this, the better things would be. Okay, so I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Deb.
I'll just I'll send this to you.
So yeah, the only thing I would note is to just resend out the link because people lose the links for the white paper. Yeah, Alex, I know I took an action at some point. We should clean up the wiki, the sustainability wiki, so we have all the links for all the white papers and whatnot we've done in one place.
Yes, you're quite right about that.
Yeah,
it's been on the list for a while.
Alex, what's on the agenda? It's 4 minutes left, right?
Did we lose Shruti too? I think I don't see her anymore.
Sorry, I think I'm having a connection problem. Just a moment.
Oh. I can look it up. Okay, it's on my other screen. Give me a second.
We got this meeting until 5 or 5:30 or 6:30?
6 o'clock, Sammy. That's why I'm checking if there's anything else.
Yeah,
because I think we're almost out of time. Did you do your topic, Sammy?
no. I think I want to. I think after this review, we want to bring it the open item.
Okay.
Do you want
Why
to
don't
go?
you start? Because while you're waiting for Alex to figure out the list, I'm trying to look for it also.
Yeah, go ahead because it goes under the recording, so it'll.
Yeah, go ahead. Go, Sammy.
Okay. So the couple of things we want to bring it as open here. One is, do you want to create a OCP Sustainability Ready program? Second one is, do you want to create a OCP profile with sustainability attributes in it? Let me walk through the background. We are multiple different work streams are working on the sustainability related areas here. At the end of the day, we need to figure out how to operationalize this information that is coming out of the different projects. One of the thinking is we can create a sustainability profile that will provide information about all the sustainability related information that is coming out of system or a rack or whatever you want to do. Also, if you look at it right now, any contributions, it is telling about sustainability impact, but there is no measurable way there. The proposal here is, if you look at currently the OCP profiles, it is taking a DMT of a rate-based standard and creating a schemas and making it as some item as required and making it as a OCP profile. And as part of the sustainability, we will be creating a lot more additional attributes to the schemas but we do need to define what are those required in order to make it as a sustainability ready platform. Again, thinking here is if you're looking at the profile, you can say the system has sustainability capabilities with a lot of attributes underneath. It can be PUE, IUE related, total power, non-IT power, IT power. What are the things contributing? Maybe embedded carbon for each device, and what is operational carbon, anything related to that, right? And even you can have the flexibility to say like maybe version 1 only provides a PE related, version 2 provides a CE related, or we can define a little more comprehensive one. So it includes a flexibility for legacy as well as upcoming ones.
Yeah, I think we're at the top of the hour. So Sammy, let me quickly connect the left-hand side and the right-hand side that you're talking about, right? So what you're proposing is, which I agree with, is we should define something. Right now, it's a tenant, so it's in the template of the white papers and documents, but people make generic statements because that's all they can do. It's all qualitative. If you want to get quantitative, here is the list of quantitative stuff you want to say. But you could also say NA, say that, hey, this doesn't apply to me, or whatever, right? And then on the basis of the left-hand side, you come up with a qualification on the right-hand side that gives you the appropriate quality, the sustainability medal. Right, platinum, gold, whatever, right? The right-hand side is more for the foundation folks to go figure out. The left-hand side is more for this forum to go figure out, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So we want to start the engagement or work. So we want to get a kind of alignment from this group to go forward.
Yeah. Could you get with Bijan and talk about the right-hand side with him?
No, not it.
No, I'm saying, could you?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Sami, can I quickly ask one more thing? So I sort of assume this should get a little bit more time, so that we can have a proper discussion within, our entire group, and it barely got something. But for DCEM in general, there were other items that you were sort of focusing on, right? Meaning the PUE white paper, IUE white paper, I think CUE was the next one. Are those all still targets within 2024?
I typing that details here, so you can. Yes.
Yes, they are. They are, right?
Going in.
IUE and
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So let's caveat this a little bit, so we don't, overpromise and underdeliver. Some of the stuff that's defined by other standards bodies, we need to be careful on when we deliver. We can't just go say deliver. We need to clear stuff with them. Caveated with that, I think the work will be done this year and delivered. That's the goal, right, Sammy?
Correct. So I think there is a few things. So we are working on we completed the white paper for PUE, but still need to have a TGG alignment before we can publish. Another white paper we are working on is IUE white paper that we are getting started. And also we need to complete the sustainability profile work. And also we want to create a IUE modeling tool so that you can create the model. And other works like performance and things in the horizon, but we have not spent time. So we want to complete the other 4 items before we can spend time on.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good. CUE is not on the, I'd say, targets. Is that right?
No. As part of the sustainability profile, it will include CUE or any other items.
Not as
I'm putting. Yeah, CUE is not primarily driven by our group. It's there is a separate group, carbon modeling group.
No. If once you know PUE, then CUE is based on the carbon emission factor. So it builds on whatever the work that we need to do to standardize. To put a profiler on PUE, right? So it builds on it. So there's not a whole lot of work, Shruti, after we do PUE on CUE.
Okay, we are not targeting any particular output in 24 for CUE.
CUE will just build on top of that, and maybe there is some work from the other work streams that are here on the factors are all more or less anecdotal, and maybe we take a stance as the project here on what that numbers are. We can review the numbers that people bandy about. They're different for different forums.
Okay.
And we can come up with the numbers. I don't think there is any new engineering. It's all I'm trying to say. We just have to agree on the numbers.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. We are
We
over.
Are also over time. So I'll let folks drop off. I did want to maybe talk to Danny if he has 2 minutes, because I think power telemetry also had certain outputs planned. So Danny, if you do have 2 minutes, but anybody who needs to drop, please feel free because we are over time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hey, Shruti.
Hi, Danny.
Yeah,
So,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask, so power telemetry was looking, at a spec, and then also the profiles. I don't know whether the profiles creation sort of falls within this work stream, the sustainability power profiles.
Yeah, good question. So I think, so just to answer really quickly, yeah, so that's the goal of the power telemetry workstream, is that we're looking to output not just a white paper, but really just going towards a spec. The idea being that because there's other data center metrics like that are talked about here, and because we want to set a standard for what's sort of the minimum amount of telemetry and how to collect that telemetry, we're looking to do a spec. And so we barely started the draft work, like but maybe others don't. Yeah, so we've been looking to be doing a specification. June is probably a good target. I think we'll have some drafts pretty quick, and then hopefully try to get it out by then. So I think that's pretty reasonable target. And then to answer your question about profiles, there certainly is some redfish profiles, and like you mentioned, whether we kind of try to codify it in there, sort of like you must either use these or use what they provide. I think that's something we need to kind of debate in the group, but we would at the very least reference the standard redfish profiles that have been created and discussed in other OCP areas.
Okay, yeah, because they also refer to profile, so maybe we should clarify that. But then, is that profile work a separate, target? Would it need another timeline?
I mean, yeah, just going by what we've talked about in the group, I think it's mostly done. I think we probably, I think it's probably done so far as like our needs. Maybe it would evolve for some other areas and things, but so far as power telemetry, for the compute system, which is what I should mention too, we do envision, a few revs of this spec maturing. What we're looking to target in this first one that Shruti's cited here for June is really around the server compute node and the power telemetry for that. And then over time, we would expand out to other, for instance, components in a rack, like a storage or a network switching, those kind of things. So we'll see if we can get all those in this first one, but at the very least, we're going to focus on the compute server. And then over time, we know that the natural thing people would ask is, hey, things beyond the rack, or cooling that supports the entire rack or the entire data center. We would probably bleed out into some of those things, but I think we're just focused on this first step right now.
Okay. Danny, at the compute node level, are you talking to like the kernel folks at Microsoft?
So not really yet. So so you brought up a good point, which is there's sort of two layers to, so far as even the compute server. There's the out of band stuff, right? So that would be available to the power telemetry that we're asking for the components in the compute server that the data center operators would have available, right? So the kind of quote unquote out of band. And then long term, we need to talk to Microsoft and Linux teams in and around, hey, how do we create some kind of API that allows visibility to the application owner in a way that's secure and so on and reasonably accurate and so on and so forth. That's definitely going to be a next level thing too. So I don't think we're going to get all that done. We're definitely not going to get that part done by June, right? That we would want to have API development, and like you said, kernel specifications, Linux, Microsoft Windows. I mean, so yeah, good point. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I think Jason Schwartz or Jason Wogamoth would be good places to start, but you can ping me offline. I used to be on that team a while ago, so.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, we definitely will. And I think Mohan had a couple names too. He was talking to in different places. So yeah, thanks. We'll do that. Appreciate it.
Or just start with Arun Kishan.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. I think these two I can sort of, sync up as they are just starting up. So maybe give them a little more time and then sync up with the co-leads for this one. So I think we can pause right here. Thank you so much, folks, and special thank you to other folks who stayed over.
All right. Okay, great. Have a great evening. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Bye.